Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the 9th anniversary metal monster exchange options due to the latest metal being distributed. So my wrists have been bothering me, so I'm not going to have the full typed out article, but I'm going to basically summarize my thought process for the 5 possible cards you could potentially monster exchange for. But before I go any further, I want to stress the fact that all 5 of these 7-star Godfest exclusives do not have a weapon assist, and it is incredibly unlikely, I feel, that that will remain the norm moving forward. Like, every 7-star Godfest exclusive seems to be getting weapon assists, so why shouldn't these ones in the future? Because they are still relatively new. So, because of that reason, if you don't need any of these cards right now, and there's a good chance you don't need them at the same time, it's best to not monster exchange and just hold on to that 9th anniversary medal and just wait and see. Because they are useful, but I feel like they don't have perfect homes necessarily utilized to their fullest potential, and at least for myself, I'm inclined to save. But with that being said, if you're like a newer player, you've rolled all your stones in Player's Choice Godfest, and you've got like some cool transforming cards, but you're lacking good ways to actually transform yourself, any of the cards in their base forms can be possible strong subs for their respective color. They all will come with at least 4 skill boosts, and it will be potentially 6 if you choose the Super Awakening or various Super Resists. And everything is identical basically from all the different cards, except for Katya, who doesn't get a super resist, so you'll probably just want to take the 6 skill boost. But point of the matter is, high skill boost card with a super resist potentially, large personal damage due to the 10 and 7 combos. They have 3 enhanced combos of their particular colors, so your whole team is doing more damage, and more is more, so that's definitely meaningful. And their active skill is a 3-turn cooldown that gives you no skyfalls, unlocks the board, and then creates 6 of their respective orb color over non-hearts. This is meaningful because with a 3-turn base cooldown, you're able to inherit something over top of them that's important. Maybe it's a cleric style active skill, maybe it's a delay, maybe it's haste, maybe it's shield, maybe it's a Fujin style active skill, because once you do use that active, it's still a useful effect on a 3-turn cooldown. So it's never going to be a bad choice to include on a given team. But at the same time, I don't necessarily feel like if you have a deeper box, they're going to necessarily plug holes for yourself. But like I said, if you are newer, you don't have enough options of how to transform efficiently, and you do have, say, like a Nautilus, and that's your best hope of clearing stuff, maybe possibly monster exchanging for Linus if you don't have enough wood subs to pull yourself forward can be a viable option for yourself. But with that being said, I also want to look at a couple of the evolved forms for some of them because they may have some value because they do change colors. So for Priscilla, when she does become her light red form, she becomes reasonably VDP heavy. She has a 10 combo, she has double God Killer, still has potentially 4 skill boosts or 2 with a super resist, and her active skill is damage reduction and gives an attack buff. But when it evolves, because all these cards have evolving skills, her active skill will now provide an RCV buff, which can be meaningful. Just remember, with these evolving skills, you actually have to use the base active skill once, and then you can use the evolved version. If you have an inherit and the inherit has charged up and you use the inherit's active, it doesn't count towards evolving your active skill. So that obviously means you have to use Priscilla at least one time prior to using it the second time to get the RCV buff. It's not a bad thing overall, and I feel like for Priscilla, where she can fit in best will be on the new Saphira, the new 7-star Godfest exclusive that's currently available in the current Player's Choice Godfest. She can definitely fit well in there because strong VDP card can help you transform, give you super resist, and we always need damage reduction for virtually any dungeon, so it can be valuable in that aspect there. For Taula, in her evolved form, she becomes actually one of the stronger wood clerics available. So these follow-up attack awakenings are kind of just dead weight across all of these cards, unfortunately. But if you don't have Alina, which is quite a large possibility because she's not regularly available, and you have ways to pair with Christmas Manoas, your Nautilus team can function without a healing solution. It's still going to be a bit stressful, but Alina gave you enhanced hard orbs, which made it so double Nautilus can heal with ease. When I use Christmas Manoa with my Nautilus, the Alina is almost overkill, but again, healing more is never a bad thing. But at the same time, Taula can step up and function as a full cleric for your mono wood team. And she does have some advantages compared to Alina. She has potentially more skill boost, or she can gain a super resist if you don't need the cloud resist. She does have high personal damage as well. I guess both of them do, to be fair. But she does have an active skill that does not transform, which means you are able to utilize an inherit over top, like a delay or haste or something like that, just to get yourself going, which can obviously be meaningful. And her evolving active skill is a cleric style active. So at the very beginning, it only clears unmatchable and awoken binds. And when the skill evolves, you clear regular binds. Probably not that big a deal because most things are probably bind immune, but it's still a full cleric style active skill, and you are able to utilize Nautilus with Christmas Manoa friends, and the RCV problem may be a little stressful, but it's not the end of the world, and Taula definitely can function as a strong cleric for your teams. Klaus, I never used his evolved form. I made it, I double damage capped it, didn't use it, I don't know why I did it. Katya, in her evolved form, she does have the potential to be a strong fire sub. She got double 10 combo, which is definitely different. These awakenings are much nicer compared to these ones here, who have the wasted follow-up attack. So with double 10 combo and a bunch of killers, you're doing too much damage potentially, and it's a problematic aspect in the sense that you don't have VDP damage, but at the same time, you're gonna double cap pretty reliably on basically any mono fire team, especially if those killers actually line up. And for the active skill, you get a movement time buff, an RCV buff, an attack buff, and a delay for 2 turns. We don't even, if the evolved form of this skill just makes the buffs a little stronger, but I don't really care about that aspect. I care about the fact that it gives you a delay, which is meaningful, and a universal buff to clear all debuffs potentially. That's a big deal, and at this exact point in time, floor 2 of MD1 and Shura 3, and I guess MD2 as well at the same time, they all have lots of like debuffs of RCV and movement time, and being able to delay them and overwrite those debuffs can help you keep transforming, and just life becomes much easier. Point of the matter is, I think it's actually quite a strong card, especially if you don't have Valkyrie Seal or Halloween Inahime. I feel like Red Dark may possibly be an awkward color to cover, potentially, if you're interested in Shura 3. Not a bad aspect all around with the universal buffer. The delay will help you with Parvati, that sort of idea. So I think it's actually a reasonably strong card. Just be mindful of the fact that it does not actually give you any way to deal void damage. So either have other cards who can do VDP, or you run someone who has void damage, which is probably not going to happen in most cases. And then for Linus in their evolved form, you can make some arguments that the machine killers are great for MD2, but I don't think it's that necessary because their active skill is just not enough overall, because it gives you 1 turn of damage absorption and attribute absorption, and then 1 turn of reducing damage taken by 50%. So a 1 turn shield and 1 turn absorption is cool, but we need really 2 turns of damage absorption to really function nowadays. Maybe you can make arguments, say, in like Shura 3, where you might get screwed over by the color absorb on floor 3, and then the damage reduction, like the shield aspect, you do need for the later floor of Hexazeon, so like it's not a bad thing. But the problem is the evolved form of this active skill is what you want for the 2 turns of damage absorption cancellation. If it started at 2 to begin with, it'd be a much better card overall, and I would recommend it and push it harder. But again, if those killers don't line up, it's going to be not the greatest damage unless you get the VDP. So like I feel like as a Royal Oak sub, it's definitely viable, but is it necessarily needed? I don't really think so. Again, a lot of the value will definitely come down to what your monster box has. If you don't have Valkyrie Seal in her blue form, well, you may not have any other good wood coverage. Maybe Linus can be useful. But regardless of that, what I want to stress is the fact that none of them have weapon assist, and they probably will have weapon assist in the future, which means monster exchanging for them when we know more information might be a better choice. But again, if you have possibly a way to use them now and efficiently, it's worth trading for. But I would not trade for the sake of trading just to have it if you don't have a good dedicated use for these cards, because for myself, I like to hold on to these medals as long as possible until I'm at a point where it's like, I need this card to do more things for myself, and that is when I monster exchange. So with that being said, let me know what you think about these 5 cards down in the comments down below. Do you think any of them are worth acquiring at this point in time, or are you just kind of adopting the philosophy that I have of just kind of wait and see? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.